Hello,
Hey.
everyone, and welcome to Roll and Keep, our weekly live play and live building show where we learn, play, teach, and create an assortment of games in any number of genres and settings, all primed by Cortex. My name is Mellie, Doucette. I'm the community manager for Cortex, which is a modular, multi-genre toolkit RPG system. Lets you build, like I said, like any world or genre you could possibly think of. It's available now. You can check it out at cortexrpg.com. It's pretty cool. If you go and find a physical copy, it also looks very cool. It's a very pretty book. I definitely recommend it. And as we play today, you're going to have, or as we build today, rather, you're going to have a chance to win a digital copy of that book. At times throughout the show, the mods are going to be running some giveaways in chat, which is super duper exciting. But today, what we get going on is a Cortex clinic, and this is where Cam and I help an amazing, creative, special guest build their Cortex setting. So Cam is the designer of Cortex Prime, the just mind behind the mechanics. So we're very if you need an expert on Cortex, that's the guy. He's our rules father, and we thank him very much for being here. Hi, Cam.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me on the show that I was on anyway. It's very good to be here, as always.
Oh, you're so welcome. Also, the wonderful, amazing Aliza Pearl, an actor, writer, improviser, all around just super amazing person that we love very much. You may know her from Nerdist, Geek, and Sundry, Improvised Generation, Ripley, Improv. So many places, and she is building a cool setting here with us today. Aliza, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me here.
I am super excited. Last week we started building this very cool setting with you, and I cannot wait to see where we go with it next. So can you, for anybody who's just joining us for the first time, and just also remind us all where we left off, what is your setting? What have we established so far? And where do you want to work on next?
Okay, so the setting doesn't have a name yet, but it's basically a space tourism setting. So there's a mixture of adventure tourism, entrepreneurship, space travel, exploration, and maybe even a little bit of treachery. So let's see, what else? Collaboration is going to be key for this. The party is going to be a bunch of entrepreneurial folks who go out into space and establish these kind of tourist attractions and visiting centers on different exoplanets and near like cool nebulas and things like that. That by the way, that has evolved since last week. It's not just exoplanets. I think it's like, check out this cool nebula and this brown dwarf and things like that. So last week we figured out, last week we figured out that we're going to make the skills certifications so that the characters have these special training certifications in different things. Some of those things could be HVAC systems, catering / culinary skills, installation of things, building, interior or exterior design, civil engineering, translators and linguists and sign makers, materials management or like project management, resource management, gardener / botanist, programmer / app developer, security, and there's many more that could be included. As the levels of expertise grow, that would increase their die rating as the campaign goes forward. Plot points will be space cred, and I'll get back to that in a second. And then the attributes will be grit, gab, gumption, guile, genius, guts, and skills. We decided not to have one that's completely purely physical. It's kind of more just about your drive and your gutsiness and your gumption, all those words I just said.
Yeah, I love it. I love the alliteration. I loved last time we were just like, okay, we got open thesaurus and word hippo, and we're gonna find the right words, and we did. I love them. They're so catchy.
Yes,
so
it's
skills,
so fun.
And we got attributes. What is the other prime set we got going on?
Distinctions, which we kind of said will be like an elevator pitch for the character. So where are they from? what was their spark? Like, why did they leave where they're from to go out and adventure in space? And where do they keep their heart? So what do they care about the most, whether it's a person or a pet or a thing in the world or a passion that they have?
I love it. I love it. So we've got all that, but there's also, that's who the characters are. How do they interact with this world? What is sort of a session or a game of this generally look like?
Yeah, generally it would be creating, let's see, wait, we listed out the beats. Yeah, so it would be like going and finding a place to set up your tourist trap, or attraction, whatever you want to call it. So that's the discover beat. And then design would be actually figuring out, what do you want? Do you want a space roller coaster that goes up into the stratosphere? Do you want zip lines, like 1,000-mile long zip lines because it's low gravity and it'll go really, really fast? Is this an underwater world where you want to have like spa? Is it like a steamy, hot whirlpool type of planet? So yeah, you design, you make up, as a party, kind of decide what you want to do with it, and then you develop. So you build these attractions and the gift shop, which I love that someone tweeted, because I had literally just put it on the list of things. There should always be a gift shop.
Yes, I honestly, I would love to make a character who is making the weird things for the gift shop, because they can't be trusted with anything that like is safety related. They have to make little things, little knickknacks that don't actually do anything or cause problems, and then they'll probably make them cause problems.
Yet they bring in a lot of income and they bring more people to the place, because when you bring them home to your planet, people are like, where'd you get that? That's cool. Oh, I want to go there. So it's very important. Every job is important in this setting.
I did.
And then
I tossed in a suggestion for a name for the game too at the top of that document. Which
great, yeah, because I'm stumped. I really don't have ideas about the name.
It was a
tourist
trick on what we were saying.
That's great. Even tourist trappers. Maybe
tourist trappers? Yeah.
Tourist trappers.
Tourist trap stars.
Tourist trap stars.
There's so many options. Yeah. So we've got discovering, designing, developing. What comes after that? So now we got everything set up. We have a roller coaster and a bungee jump into a volcano. What comes after that?
Then you debut it. So you open it up to the public and people start visiting and it starts functioning. Maybe we're light on how that works, but whatever.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that today.
Yeah, well, I can say, as somebody who used to work customer service, as soon as they get their hands on it, things will start to break. That is a big part of debut. It probably is fixing new problems, because hey, it's not just in a vacuum anymore. There are people interacting with it and pushing the boundaries of it, and maybe looking at that the atmosphere controlled area and being like, why can't I go through this door that says don't enter? Yeah.
Oh my god, yes.
It's the best kind of example.
That's also when you have to have that day one patch for everything. All the software and AI and everything else gets the day one patch, because it doesn't actually work right when you launch it.
Yeah. Okay, so that sounds like it will be a very busy phase for this game. Potentially.
Love that. Okay.
So after debut, then we put delegate as the next beat, which means basically you decide, are you going to have this run by AI, or are you going to leave the staff behind, and so that you can go off to another location in space and set up another tourist trap? What about tourist trapping? Tourist trapping. I'm thinking, I'm kind of like tourist trapping. Sounds like
I'm thinking that when I was
verbing,
running it through my head, I thought, how would you describe what the people who are doing it are? So are you tourist trappers? But tourist trapping is a good thing for what the activity is. Sure, I think it's funny because we think that's hilarious because we call them tourist traps. But maybe in this setting, that's a legitimate thing. That's what we call it. The same way that claim jumpers sounds like a funny thing for us now, but at the time was, I don't even know if it was a positive if you were a claim jumper, I don't know whether that was a positive title for you. So yeah, I think it's interesting to think about that way.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it.
Well.
So after delegates,
well,
we decided, we've got some maybe employees that we've trained up. Maybe we got some AI that we're hoping is functional. We don't have the money to get a really good one, but hey, it's good enough. We've left. So we could go on and discover something else, but there's another. There's a sixth one. I saw Blind Geek 01 also pointed out. Aha, it's a D6 setting because we have 6 Ds. And I thought that was very clever. So good.
Yes.
Good. So what's the sixth D?
The sixth one is defend. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, defend. Although, well, yeah. So here's the thing: delegate and defend are kind of hand in hand because defend means you're going to make sure there's like once you leave, this is going to be a secure place so that some claim jumpers don't try to come, or some space pirates or whatever, or some other rival companies don't try to like break all your toys. So I think delegate and defend are actually the same, but there is still a 6D because I don't have a D word for it, but it's basically going on to the next thing. It's almost like rinse and repeat, like the repeat part.
Yeah,
but
totally.
using a D word.
So then we go back to discovery again, or did we want to have something that transitions it? Let's see, what would that be? Let's get our thesaurus is open.
How about that?
Oh. I've never known what that word means. Denouement.
We should ask a French speaker. do we know?
Yeah, the denouement, which is kind of the thing that happens after the climax, and it's you wrap everything up, and if you're doing a sequel, hey, that's where you plant seeds so that it goes into the next one. But yeah, the denouement is the it's like the falling action is the non-French way to say it.
There you go.
Also, I just Googled synonyms for repeat. So you got duplicate or
duplicate.
ditto. There's people in depart is coming in on the chat. That's Lord Garth on downtime. Tapioca.
Yeah, ditto.
D. Koppler also said duplicate.
Ditto. Yeah. I think ditto is funny. Depart makes sense. Duplicate also makes sense. Defend, duplicate.
Lord Garth, do it all again.
Do it all again. That too.
Do it all again. This is the part though where you actually think about so what activity happens in this part, because technically the entire if it was duplicate, it would mean the entire thing over, right? That's not a beat of its own. It's going back to the beginning.
Yeah.
So this section should have something which you can do something in, use dice rolls for something, or maybe it's the part where you establish all of your milestones and XP has been cleared away.
Yeah.
I have 2 ideas I'd like to throw out here. One, Tapioca said downtime, and then Blind Geek 01 said detox. It's got to be a stressful job. So this could be, again, like Cam just said, this is where you spend your points and level up, but it's also could be like a bit of a downtime. We go visit somebody else's tourist trap even. And that's our space in between leaving ours and going on to the next one. The other one is that this is that space and time where, hey, so we've left this place. Let's, check up on our resources, and we gotta, do the refuels, and we have to check on any places that we've left behind that we haven't thought of for a while. That's another thing you can do in between space.
Yeah, I like
so maybe downtime then.
I like downtime too.
Good. All right.
Thanks, Tapioca. Chat.
Thank you. Great suggestion.
Heck yeah. All good suggestions in the chat. Great job, chat.
Yeah.
So I love that. So that's kind of how, and that could be, that could be one session. That could also be 6 sessions or 8 sessions. That could be a whole game is that whole thing. Or you could say, this group of people, we really just want to do the design step mostly and the debut. And this game is about that. And you kind of just get past the other stuff quickly. So there's lots of opportunities there. And that's one thing I really love of what you've come up with here, Aliza, is like you could play this game in so many ways. And I'm very excited by that. But let's talk a little bit more about how this game gets played, because we got to kind of talk about when do roles happen? What is a test or a contest in this game? So what are our... Cam, explain to us first, I guess, what is a test versus a contest? When might you use those generally in Cortex? And that might help us kind of direct.
Well, test is a very good baseline for anything, because it is ultimately just a check of your dice pool against a difficulty of some kind, right? So in this case, the game moderator just says, this is going to be a hard thing, you must roll, I'm going to establish the difficulty, try and beat it. We've done that lots of times in our stream. We've played games with tests. Contest is the back and forth trying to one-up each other until someone gives in or loses. And that's more like a struggle to try and say, I want to do a thing, and someone else says, I don't want you doing that thing, let's stop doing it. So I can easily see contests happening in this game if you've got opposing GMCs, or if you've got, even if the players are kind of feuding over something. That seems like it would be a good way to use it. But overall, I think it's the perfect kind of game for a test to be your baseline for each beat. So if you really don't want to play the whole beat through, you say, okay, and like, for example, Aliza, you might say, I'm running this game. We're doing the discover phase, this discover beat. Are we all cool with just rolling for this and then moving on to design, or do you want to play it out? And if everyone says, let's just do the roll, you would establish a difficulty. Then someone will be chosen as the one who rolls it. Maybe it's the scout. Maybe it's the person who does the navigation and astro, who knows. Then they would roll a test. So you would roll dice, then they would try and beat the dice, and that would be how it works. I don't think there's a need to go too far into mods for those, just because I think a lot of the fun here is going to be resource management and playing things out and whatever. But it does seem like tests and contests will be a good baseline for you. The alternative, which we've had in the past, has been using actions and reactions, where it's more of a turn-based kind of a traditional combat sort of arrangement, where I roll to hit you and you roll to defend, and that's it. You know, that's. But I don't see a lot of that happening. I think tests are pretty good for this, especially. I would reserve a contest for really cool scenes when you aren't just rolling over the beat and playing through it. When you are playing through it and there's actually kind of some kind of neat conflict going on, especially if you're trying to get everyone to buy into the idea that the game moderator, the GMCs that are in here, like corporate espionage people or pirates or whatever, that they have their own full stats. Like they might have their own list of certifications and attributes and things. And so you kind of want to have it where they're trying to do something and the players are trying to stop them, or vice versa. But yeah, that's my deep dive, I guess, into that. I think that seems like it is helpful enough to digest. What do you think?
Yeah, that seems pretty straightforward to me. And I like the idea that you can either compress certain sections or really like play them out. So Mellie, if you're more interested in the design and your players agree, your fellow players agree, you can do lots of tests to like get through certain steps of the design phase. Or you could just do one big test and see. And then also I'm thinking about when we played Hammerheads, and also other settings that we've done in Roll and Keep, but my first experience with the risk pool in Hammerheads.
Crisis pool, yeah.
Crisis pool, yeah. I see that as something that could work here too.
Well.
Yeah.
Yes. Because
we could call it, project, or that's so dry, but not project.
Yeah, I know.
Something more interesting than that.
Apt to this, but as well, I do think that kind of thing works really well here, because you've got, hey, we're discovering, so that could be a crisis pool, or we can go Tales of Zadia side, that's a challenge pool, and we can say that it's going to take, you've got X D10s to do this, and you gotta work on it over time. That is something that definitely I think sounds pretty cool.
What I really liked about the risk pool in Hammerheads was the way that every time we rolled against it, if we succeeded and we knocked down or even took out one of the die, it was flavored with narrative. It felt like a really nice way to just like lay out the steps of something, and I really think that would work super well here.
Yeah.
So
and it was also like we could do it on the fly, like we could just do it on the fly as a group, which I also love.
A cool way to approach it then would be, okay, so if it's going to be a beat where we don't do a lot of in-depth playthrough, like we're not trying to do a lot of design or we're not doing lots of debut stuff, it's just a simple test and you're done. Success or fail, and then you move to the next beat. But if you're going to do it as a feature for that session, then you say, okay, we're going to do discovery. Discovery is very important for this new game I'm talking about, and all the players are really keen on finding cool places to set up their tourist traps. Then you want to make it a sort of the pool where you're trying to remove it. And that way, all the players get to have their turns knocking away until it's done. And so it's kind of like, it is a project in a way, right? It's a task or it's a whatever. I think challenge from Tales of Xadia is a good term because it takes it away from being crisis. Oh my gosh, how are we going to discover this? Because no one's really thinking that. To like, oh, what's the challenge today? The challenge for this is discovery, and so we'll do that.
I also really like. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, what if we literally name whichever pool it is after the phase we're in? So the GM will be like, okay, now we're in the discovery phase. So you can choose, is this going to be a single test or is it going to be the discovery pool? And then the players can decide.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that.
Okay.
Because then you can even have, when you're looking at doing SFX, you can have SFX that refer to those specific phases. Like when you test against a discovery pool, you can get this benefit. So that lets you have
I like that.
Really be into specific
and then it wouldn't affect like the other stuff. Downtime probably doesn't have a pool. Well, it does. Downtime's got a pool to roll to try and yeah. That's cool. Or it doesn't have to, but I mean, I think that's it could just be its own thing. I like that idea.
Yeah, I was thinking it would be open.
Yeah, cool. Well, and I love this too because it lets you, when you're like setting up your session and you're saying, hey, this is going to be a debut pool. So, there's different aspects of it. Like, hey, I want to introduce some conflict here. So maybe I say it's this many dice, and I can, as Cam did in Hammerheads, is say what each die represents. This D10 are the wedding guests that are having a catering crisis over here. But there's also, this issue in the gift shop, and there's these different things, and everybody's got to kind of work together to get all these different things solved before they become something far worse and creating more of a problem for the group. So that really excites me as both like a GM and a player, because it seems like that's easy to do as a GM, to be like, boom, boom, boom. Okay, now narratively, this is what you can like, attack. It's like, hey, I want to talk to these wedding guests. That's like your, quote unquote attack. But as a GM, it also says when they do something there, I can key off of that and create more narrative out of, if they get hitches, I know exactly what they were trying to impact. Boom, we got some more narrative out of that. It really, I'm very excited, Aliza. I love your setting so much.
Yay!
I was going to add too that you've got this opportunity then to make each of the different beats different difficulty, honestly, because if you don't want it to be that hard to debut this place, when it comes around, you're like, okay. But similar to this, I like this idea that if you generate complications on the beat that you're in, it doesn't go to you, it goes to the next pool, making things worse. So, for example, you may decide, before I start my session, today I'm doing my 6Ds. I'm doing it 3D6, 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 48, and then 48 as my pools, right? But if they generate complications on discovery, those dice that they generate, instead of becoming like stress or whatever, they go to the next pool. So the design becomes really hard because the discovery was screwed up.
That's great mechanically and narratively, because if you mess up your discovery and you choose a planet that actually has an active volcano and you don't realize that at first, that's going to cause you problems later. So I love that. I love that.
So you're basically pushing the problems down the road.
Which is literally how businesses are built. Like, push the problems down.
Absolutely. This is a problem for tomorrow. It's fine. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
When can we play this? I'm ready. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, we should just jump into. I mean, I would be down. Like,
let me just make a note about this thing here.
Yeah, so I love all this, and I think that these pools also give you really good structure because, then we ask a question of, hey, do we have, GMCs or factions or organizations and these other sorts of things? Or are those things all just represented as part of pools? Or is there some kind of combination of that? So, Cam, once you finish noting that down, can you give us sort of the lowdown on GMCs versus a faction or an organization and how those might interact with a pool?
Yeah, so this is interesting because an extra or just a basic GMC that doesn't have a lot going on for it is just a series of traits. They're not even the same traits that players have. They're just things like ugly, scary, rifle owning pirate, and those are 4 traits, right? So whenever any of them comes up, they get to be added into the difficulty, or in this case, the pool. They don't count as part of the pool or the difficulty because they're just making things worse, a little bit like how complications worse. But that's very simple and straightforward, and you can even just have almost everything in the game be even just 2 things. Like, this is going to be scary pirates, so whenever I do anything scary D8, pirates D6, I add those into my difficulty because they're involved. However, I think one thing that makes this interesting is you've got these ideas for huge hazardy type corporations and things that will get in the way. And those, I believe, can be represented by factions and orgs, which are kind of like pools of their own. And so they're in the Cortex Prime game handbook. They're in the section on GMCs where it discusses them. They have a scale. They have they're more far-reaching, and they're a lot more like yep, grabbing it. Which page is it on, Mellie?
119. And our amazing producer Will has also put it up on screen for our viewers.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. They do not even have to be present in the scene or anything else. They can kind of be acting remote because their influence is more about what they do rather than their direct involvement. So, like, sometimes you can make small orgs be like a bunch of ragtag hooligans, but larger ones could be corporations. And then you can create special SFX for those that really do hose the players. Like, you might have one that says, okay, the GM can spend a plot point to step up a die in the debut pool for a company that's really, really good at sabotage, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Some kind of
they get in on your hashtag and they fill it with, oh no, nesting doll just got back in my head. Just toxify your social feed.
So did nesting doll have their own dice pool then?
Well, so in this case, you have these, factions on this page. Yeah, 119.
Yeah.
Right.
So they've got, just their mob trait or faction trait, and that's, going to be a set of dice. So, for example, one of them on here is, the Order of Shogthema, and they've got this mystic cult trait, and they've got 5d8s for that. Plus, since they're a faction, they got a scale die too, so they're really powerful. But then they have these extra traits, so those would add, when they would apply. And on top of that, they have some SFX, which lets them just do things that are really, narratively inspired by how they should be impacting the game. So that's where you'd have something where you could have, a hacker organization that gets into their AI, so they impact, those stages where you involve the AI, or the corporation that, takes out a marketing campaign against you and maybe affects your debut, as Cam was mentioning. So these would be those kind of, these would be like, your antagonists of the campaigns too. Like, these would probably be long term. You'd probably keep coming back to them as repeating nemeses. Like, oh no, it's not marketing company TM again. I couldn't think of the name of the company.
TM.
Oh,
yep.
It's like TM, and then it's like superscript TM, and then superscript.
TM cube.
Exactly. Or it's subscript TM, regular TM, superscript.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
It's like the TMs are orbiting a TM.
Right.
I mean, this is actually a company now. I dig it.
So the thing with these guys is that they would be like almost an additional pool, even beyond the 6 that we have talked about in our beats. So they can show up, and if you want to have them be really present in a scene, in a session, you might say, okay, so during development, these people aren't just going to be throwing little dice in there, making things worse for you. They're going to show up in some way and manifest as their own little mini pool. And then players have to decide, am I tackling this problem, which was the development, or am I going to tackle them directly and try and do something against the faction? And obviously, if they do something to the faction, you can take their dice away and work against them, but you have to choose who you're rolling against. And while you're doing that, things could be getting worse for the other side. So that makes it a little tricky, because you do want them to be not so frequent and kind of sort of be around and then surprise the players every once in a while with, oh, they're here. Their ships have arrived, or the network is full of their little bots and things. And that becomes, kind of interesting. I also like that you might have a whole organization of reviewers and critics and people who show up at the debut, at the delegate area.
Oh my God.
And they're like hostile tourist organization whose whole job is to just like, I'm always imagining that guy at the end of Ratatouille, who is the worst critic and gives no one 5 stars. And so they might show up and on your debut, and you're like, oh, they're going to be here. We have to deal with them and debut our stuff. And if we don't succeed at the debut, they're going to get stronger because they've got ammunition against us for how our company makes the worst tourist traps ever. But if we focus on them only,
that can be something you can really pull from people's milestones as well. So we talked last time about how growth could be milestones. So it's like we've got, this set of goals that you're trying to achieve. And, hey, one of them is I want to get a 5-star review from this very hard reviewer. So they're kind of an enemy, but they're also somebody you really want to impress. And that could be, again, just taking inspiration for the story from your character sheets. You have those many opportunities that fit all your Ds, the many Ds.
So that would be my choice.
I'm making a list now.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cam.
Oh, I was going to say that would be my choice on 2 different kinds of GMCs you may want to have in common. The one is just one that is just traits and you use them as narrative flavor, and the other one is like actual orgs that represent, clear opposition to you in a way.
And let me just really quickly add, Aliza. So you've got this, actual official reviewers, but don't forget about like the Yelp reviewers, especially the ones who are trying to get free stuff, and they're trying to blackmail you using reviews.
Yep, Yelpers and bloggers.
I'm an influencer. Can I get a free bungee jump?
Did we just put influencers? Yes, I'm putting influencers. I'm going to put Yelpers and influencers because Yelpers needs to be in there.
Yeah. I'm just very delighted by this. So we've got you've got your pools is kind of going to be your main thing, but you can have these factions that sort of add on, or even further challenges that come up when they're important. We've talked about tests and contests are both going to be in here. One thing I'd like to talk about as well. So complications is kind of the base thing of the game, and we did talk about how complication on a hitch, you pull that and you throw that into a future pool. One of the mods, of course, for complications is stress, which is putting them onto a player. Are you wanting to just stick with, hey, we're just going to use this kind of build of how this always applies to these future pools, or do you ever want to look at applying them to your players?
I mean, it might be nice to give the GM the option or even the player the option. And it could be depending on the situation. So if it's, let's say, go back to those beats. So let's say we're in, I mean, at the very beginning, I think discovery pool, the complications rolling into the next phases is great. I think that makes the most sense. With the possible option of it being stress on the player, if that seems to work well. But like, let's see, like a later, so like delegate and defend.
A possible suggestion as well is that you could have like, so when they get hitches, you buy them and they go, whoop, they're going to be kicked down the road. It's a problem for later. But as well, when you have these, pools, so players are going to take turns against it. Does the pool have its own turn, like in Tales of Xayden Hammerheads, and maybe when it acts? So when something goes wrong, maybe that's what causes players to get something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking that seems like a cool thing, because then you've got hitches which create problems which you deal with later, but you get plot points for them now, which is great, right?
Yeah.
Each time you roll a hitch, the GM gives you a plot point, and it makes things worse later on. But on the pool's turn, you roll and then you pick one player to try and defend against it, like a reverse test, or test, and then you do actual direct complications to them, which they carry through until the next sequence. It may even be it may be interesting to see how that works out, just because it's the sort of thing you want to try out and play. You want to say, is this working out as this, or it's not?
So that's okay, cool. So it's like when the players have their turn against the pool, their hitches will contribute to the next pools. And then when the pool has its turn against the players, the pool successes, or I guess the players' complications, will give the players some type of stress.
Yeah, so right? Like, hey, the pool is, so the discovery pool, you got one player who said, yeah, I went and I found this. I'm just going back to volcanoes because that's the only thing I can think of. Yeah. They go back to this volcano and they're working on, getting all the specs on it. And so you say, hey, I'm going to have this pool is going to cause some problems for you. Maybe I'm just saying, hey, the rocks are actually pretty it's precarious here, and I roll against the player, and if the player doesn't succeed in defending, then I can say, all right, I'm going to give you some stress, or maybe just a complication. So a complication would just be, I'm going to come up with a name for something, and that's going to be attached to you, and that's a problem. Stress, you can either like have predefined lists, like in Tales of Xayden, or in Hammerheads, they attached, and Eidolon Alpha actually, they attached to one of the trait sets. So you could say like, oh yeah, I'll attach some stress to your gumption. So then when you use your gumption, it's a little more difficult. So there's like a bunch of different potential ways that you could have this be damage if you want to go this route.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the attribute specific stress. I think that's a cool mechanic. I think that's what I would want to do here.
That way you can incorporate shaken and stricken too, so that you on your next, like if you go in there with stress on your stats, you might show up next time and have only one die to keep in your pool as opposed to two to make your total, which would make you less effective against whatever's going on. But I think in general, I always try to lean towards something that's easy to keep track of and be aware of. So if you add too many different kinds of things, you start losing track of what, am I doing this? Am I doing this? So it may actually even be easier if you have a generic complication on your character that will come into play in a situation or won't. The reason why stress is great is because it kind of takes any ambiguity away from it. You know that it's going to be a problem.
I just so when you said you could just have one generic one that you attach things to, Cam, my brain immediately went, well, what's when you're doing this kind of company sort of thing, what do you get? Burnout.
Ooh,
burnout. Yeah. That's actually neat because then you just track. All you track is burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I like
players
that.
get burnout.
I like that a lot.
And then eventually, if they're stressed out, they have to miss the entire next beat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then return
yeah, like
after
you do
that.
your discovery, but you get burnt out. And so then the design phase, you're like, I'm on vacation or sick leave or something, or I'm just not very helpful because I'm just tapped. Oh man, that's an interesting risk. I know, honestly, I'm like, wow, I feel that. It's almost Friday.
Oh god.
Well, it's Friday here. I've got that D8 burnout right now. I'm going to work on it. It's all good.
Yep. Got that weekend to recover.
I think another thing that one might be good is if you're forced to set out the next beat, or even more, depending on how you want to do this, where, okay, if I've got a burnout going into the next scene, I know that I'm going to be taking it on as a complication to anything I try. So if I have a roll, the opposition dice is always going to roll the burnout that I've got, right? Because it's just affecting everything in my life. You could choose to sit that out voluntarily to remove the burnout before it gets worse, so that you don't have to worry about it later. And it may be that if you burned out, you can't be on the project anymore. Like you're out of the whole project until the end, which may be one way of players going, I don't want that. So you volunteer on the next beat to sit out, do some downtime, recover it, then come back for the beat after that, and you can be on it. But if you ever go from D12 and stress out, then you've rested too much and you're out. Like you can't be on that project anymore. You're that one design or dev person who's like stayed up all night doing something early on and then has to quit the whole project and go off to live in the country for weeks.
Hey, this is too real.
That might be one way of doing
I'm feeling personally attacked by this.
Oh my god.
But yeah, that would make sense because, like, hey, I've got a D10 burnout. So going into the next phase, the next phase is let's say it's the delegate phase, and hey, you know what, guys, I don't got the gab. This isn't really my phase. This isn't my best one. I don't really have a stake in this. So this is gonna be my day off. You guys have delegate, and hey, I'm gonna come back, and I'm not gonna have this burnout anymore. So then I'm gonna come back and not threaten the project with my burnout.
So what makes the burnout go away then? Just sitting out the round?
I would say,
or
just sitting out a round. If it's not already past D12, like if it's anywhere from D6 or all at D12, whatever die rating it is, you clear it by having that round gone. But this is the thing, is that feeling of risk. I could carry my burnout for a while. If it's just a D6, I can handle it. It's D8, I can handle that. D10, I can handle that. If you go into a round and you've got D12 burnout, you're like, should I sit this round out and get rid of it, or should I give it a go? That's a problem, because you may end up getting stressed out.
There's also kind of a strategic aspect to it of what are the rounds that you've got the most skill in. So like, okay, I got a D10 burnout, but like this current round, this is like the one I lead usually. Like this is my thing. So I'm gonna push through this D10 and hope that I don't get above, and then okay, now I'll sit out. And hey, you could have some SFX that tie into burnout. You could have, opportunities, again, with the GM rolls opportunities. They can spend a plot point to push down their burnout. But there is kind of like this, Tapioca, just in a corner of my eye. You got the words that I wanted to say. Push your luck mechanics of this. There's a bit of a gamble. It's like, hey, how much do you want to just try a little bit? Can we do it without you?
Yeah. You know what, there's a part of this, and I don't think it takes away from your overall concept either, Aliza. I think it kind of adds to it, because it provides that extra kind of human element of, these are some scrappy people doing risky things, and not only is the whole idea of pushing the problems down the road, which we think is great already for different things, but there's the whole personal accountability, and you can role play that out too in the sessions, in the beats, and say, hey, you're coming to work. We're going to go and do this debut today. It's launch day. Are you up for it? Like, yes, I'm great. And you're like, oh, really? Because last week, you had some problems, and you're feeling, I can see with your eyes are just like, Yeah, and you could have situations where like a pharmaceutical company comes involved and says, "Hey, man, we can help you out. If you take this thing, you'll be fine for this whole beat. Be great." But then if you take it, your burnout stresses up by 1 because you did it. Like you can ignore it.
Oh my god!
So again,
Or,
just more narrative
like,
options.
There's the
I
other
like
option
that.
where
I like that.
I was just thinking that if you had one thing, you say, okay, I don't want any burnout anymore, so I'm going to get rid of it. But what it does is it adds it to the next beat. Like you actually turn your own personal burnout into a huge project problem, and the next pool gets that done.
Oh, so you get a couple options. It's like, hey,
yeah,
I could take a break. I can take a break, and then it goes away. I can push through it, and it's going to affect me. Or I can say, narratively, I'm causing a problem with this project. Something that I'm gonna do because I'm burnt out is gonna snowball into something in the next one. So I'm throwing that into the pool for the future pool, and I don't have it anymore.
I feel
like
I
caused a problem that we have to deal with.
I feel like that there should be some type of plot point earned somewhere for that.
Oh yeah,
right. Because that's like
yes.
it seems like then the whole team is taking on that liability. So maybe it's giving everyone else a plot point. Is that too much? Is that too many plot points?
Well, I don't know. That sounds. What do you think? Well, see, you were talking about how plot points equals cred. I think XP is cred. I think the experience points you get is the cred that you're using and spending on the cool things. The plot points is you're just like, we're managing our group. This is our kind of like, and I think in one way, if you turn your own burnout into a problem for the rest of the team to deal with, I think you should have to give everyone plot points.
You give them from your own pool?
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So you have to be able to afford to burn out. Oh my god, this is so real because that's literally how the world works. Like, oh god. Oh god.
Oh my god. I was doing something else and it just slipped my mind. I was gonna try to get us a little bit off of just my life in a space game, which I love it. Just the gambling mechanic, I'm really into it. This seems really fun, but at the same time, I'm like, oh man, yeah, this is real life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yes, I was to say that even if you're burned out, I think that, while you can't roll and you can't contribute to rolls, you can't help or spend plot points, you can still have that person like narratively there and role playing there. Like if they're on vacation, hey, you conference call them in to get some advice or something, or they're still there and being able to role play it, and again pushing the character side of things because they are still. It's still a story about these people at the same time. They're burned out. They can't roll dice, but they can participate still. I think that's important to note.
You could give every player character could have a special SFX on their character file. That's their burned out SFX. This is what I can do whenever I'm burned out. I can't play. I can do this thing to help people out. I can, I can do this thing. I can spend a plot point to this. I can earn a plot point when I call in and say, "Hey guys, is everything going all right? Is everything fine?" Like, get off the phone, go rest.
That sounds like my dad. You can assign it to like whatever your highest certificate is or something. They get a burned out SFX, or there's just a burned out SFX attached to each certificate, and you can buy it with XP. Then you've unlocked. Hey, I got the linguistics burnout SFX. So, hey, there's a crisis where you need somebody who can translate. I can't roll in this one, but I got this burned out SFX. I can still like call in and try to help from a distance. Which could be an interesting way to look at it.
That's worth some more consideration, but I think at the very least, I like the idea of having something for players who've been burned out to do. Otherwise, they feel like they're left out of the game.
Yeah.
But it should be a risk. It should be something we generally want to be careful of. I like the threat of being burned out, because it's like I'm going to be out of the project. But I also don't want the player to go, well, that was crap. I feel like it's the second beat and I got burned out because
you don't want to do player elimination.
Right. There was also something earlier, a thought I had about plot points. And the thing is, yeah, like if you can afford to burn out, then you can take more risks earlier on. But then you also do need to be trying to earn plot points early on to do that. So that could be a really fun way for people to strategize and party members to say, okay, listen, you have the XYZ skill that we need earlier on. So why don't you just go hard against this pool? It'll be like you and one other player take on this pool. And if you burn out, that's okay, because later we'll take care of this. So, yeah, it doesn't have to be every phase, every player is, probably a lot of people will want to roll in every phase, which is cool too. But if people want to really like have their characters specialize in something, they can also be like, I'm just going to do this as a test, like a 1-to-1 test. I'm taking the lead on this phase, and I'm just going to go straight up against, just as a one-on-one test or something like that.
Yeah, and it also, then it shows different ways to play. Is like, hey, do you have a team that you can all do a bit of everything, but you're going to face all this burnout, and you're going to have this small but mighty team that has to do a lot of stuff? Or do you have people who are really specialized, so people get more breaks? But hey, when it really comes to it, you don't have backup as much. So there's different kind of approach that shows that scrappy team that doesn't have all the resources. What are kind of the risks, and what do you have to strategize with that is beyond external risk? It's your internal risk.
Yeah, and I think because you want to make sure that everyone has at least 2 certificates that they are very good at, so that there's all this pressure of those are the people who have to be around doing these things. Because if you're only good at one thing, then you can just afford to stay out of all these things and not worry about it. But if you're actually being counted on for multiple things, like all these player characters, all the tourist trappers have to be multitaskers. Or they have to be sort of multi-skilled, because you're like, all I'm good at is scouting. So I'm fine. I had a scout. I'm burned out. No one's worried about it. You're like, no. You also are our cook. And you're also the person who knows how to do interior design. So don't go away. We do need you.
Yeah, it's like in Hammerheads, you've got the 2 that are rated at a D10. I think, 3 or 4 rated at D8, and then you got like 5 or 6 at D6, and then the rest are D4s. It's broken down where, like, yeah, you've got a handful of things that are up here, and then you have stuff that's just kind of in the middle. But hey, those 4 things that are really high up there, people are counting on you to be able to do that. Because we don't have everybody that's got a pilot D10 or a medical D10.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Wow.
Oh, another thing from last time that I had started listing out. 2 things. So one of them is the different activities and attractions. And so this is a growing list. And also, I really feel like the players will come up with creative things that are not on this list, and that should be encouraged. So hiking / exploring, zip lining, fishing, a tourist center of some kind. And it could even be like a historical center or a museum type tourist center, like educational kind. Swimming, rock climbing, skiing, canoeing, skydiving, bungee jumping, base jumping, scuba diving. Did I put scuba twice? No, I didn't. Amusement park rides, ATVing or like off-road racing, a gift shop, and some type of food courts, stands, restaurants, bars. And then the other list I started creating. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, this is so great because these seem like such mundane things to us in our 21st century. And what we're proposing is they still are mundane things as far as the tourist traps in the future, and no one can escape them. You cannot get away from base jumping.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But they're extra cool because it's a zip line over a volcano. You're skiing down a minus 50-degree mountainside.
Exactly. And the thing is about these, exactly. These exoplanets are all really extreme. There's extreme weather, there's extreme terrain, there's like extreme gravities like that are not like what's on Earth. So it'll really make people have to be creative about like, well, what does a space coaster on a very dense planet look like? How does that work? how much power will it take to power that? Because it's going to be really difficult. It's going to be much heavier.
Yeah.
But that brings me to the other list I was creating, which is known exoplanets and space destinations. And so this is a list from, there was a previous show that I had pitched to like a network like a while ago, and it didn't go. And this is the list that I had come up with for that. And it was also like a space tourist theme. So I'll just read some of these off. So, and these were like if you were thinking of like the pamphlet that you would have for each of these. So visit the dark and brooding cousins of the gas giant brown dwarfs. So it could be a trip to go like fly through the swirling dark masses of material that are brown dwarfs. Witness history up close at Eta Carinae Nebula. So you take a shuttle and fly by Eta Carinae Nebula and just like go through its valleys of gases and things and see some stars being born. A boating adventure on Titan's methane lakes. Let's see. Oh, hallelujah, it's raining gems on Hat P7b, which is an exoplanet where literally it rains gems somehow. So you can, maybe that's like a shopping excursion, like people.
That's like, or a destination wedding.
Oh yeah.
The pictures you get with that.
Yeah. How amazingly perilous is that?
Set up a tent that could like protect you from dying from gems raining on your head.
Because it's literally raining diamonds and carborundum and things, and so there's just like banging through everything and cutting you to pieces. But you're like, oh,
exactly.
I've got a big bucket full of them.
That's what I love about this idea, is that like to make this feasible, you actually do have to think through those things. Like, how would you make this an attraction and not a death trap?
Yes.
And then like another one is spot time on the steamy water world of G71214b. These are actually exoplanets I looked up. And then Saturn's hexagonal jet stream. So at one of the poles of Saturn, I forget which pole, maybe the South Pole, there's this, this is a real thing. Like if you look at pictures of Saturn, there's the jet stream that swirls around the pole is in a hexagonal shape. They don't know why. Scientists don't know why it happens that way, but it does. So maybe you can go on an excursion where you're like canoeing the hexagonal jet streams or something like that. Or not canoeing, but kayaking. Yeah, it's talk about extreme sport.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. What is the interstellar medium, Aliza? What's that?
Oh, I forgot. Wait, let me Google that real quick. I think it's oh, you know what? I think it's the place between so there's the heliosphere, which is the reach of our sun's light. So the place that we're basically in a big bubble of our sun's energy and reach. And there's a place where once you pierce through that, you're outside of it. And I think that's the interstellar medium. And one of the two Voyagers, if not both of them, the Voyagers that we sent out in the 70s, one of the two of them, if not both of them, have now reached the interstellar medium. They're that far out. It's very, very far out from us. But then relatively, it's actually not that far because it's still, it's pretty amazing.
I love this because it gives you some ideas of, again, like ways you might approach some of these plans, but also, hey, this is a list you can work from as a GM to go through and be like, okay, yeah, we're gonna send them to the Hat P7b, which is the Raining Gems planet, and they're gonna have to deal with this. How are they gonna approach this? What are they gonna do? It's just really, really fun. And again, makes it so much easier to GM that you have this information available to you. This is really cool research, Aliza.
Thanks.
Let's take a brief break from this. I know you have to step away for a quick second. So please go ahead and do that. We're going to be right back with Aliza. But hey, everybody, we've got the Cortex Creator Confab going to be starting very, very soon. You can go and check that out. Check out our Discord. I just announced that today. There's a document up there that kind of goes over what this is, but the Cortex Creator Confab is where you can create your own Cortex setting using, again, the Cortex Prime Game Handbook, which teaches you how to make your own Cortex game. There's going to be a bunch of creators participating in it, and they are going to be around discussing their work and their ideas and brainstorming, basically doing the same thing that Cam and I are doing with Aliza right now. So if you have ever wanted to make one, but you really don't know where to start, this is a great time because people are really going to be in that mode of building things and working together to create something really exciting. So this confab is going to have a theme. That's going to be revealed tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to, you can interpret it however you'd like. So however I present it, I'm not going to give too much out about it, but hey, you're going to be able to interpret what I give you in any way that you choose. There's going to be some bonus themes if you'd like to add a little bit more. They're not required. And you're going to have 10 days starting on Monday to go through and create your own original setting. We're aiming for something short, 2,500 words maximum. You can make it much shorter if you'd like. It's all about creating a first draft, something that is boom, hey, we can play it, and then from there there's going to be a feedback stage. So it's going to be structured feedback. You can go ahead and go through, you're going to be assigned somebody else's and somebody's going to be assigned yours, and you're going to get some feedback on it. And then after that, we are going to arrange some playtest sessions on your behalf and provide you with the notes from those playtests. So not only did you create something, you got feedback on it, but you also got a playtest out of it. And hey, now you can take that and you can either say, hey, this setting, I'm going to work on it more. I'm going to build it more because I really like it. Or hey, I've learned so much from this experience and I got an idea for the next thing. And I'm very, very excited. I love the confab. We've done 2 before, created some really cool things, and I'm very excited to see what people come up with. So pop into our Discord, check that out, participate in that. So we're going to have the theme coming out tomorrow. Cam, designing things. So this is a 10-day, like, boom, we're designing something, like, pretty quick. What's your design process like? Do you think you could be like, hey, 10 days, I can get a setting playable? Does that feel like something you could do?
Oh, yeah, I could do that. But the problem is, will I do it over the course of 10 days, or will I do it all on the 9th and 10th days and go, I forgot it's done? My strongest suggestion for folks who going into this, if they can take advice from me, a terrible, what's the word for it? Procrastinator? And also, yeah, is give yourself a couple of deadlines for yourself within that timeline. So, okay, I'm going to figure out how characters work by day 3. I'm going to figure out how this thing works by day 6. That at least gives you sort of breaking it down to smaller times where you don't have to sort of sprint at the very last minute. We also talked yesterday a little bit on Prime Time about the core things, the questions you want to ask yourself. What do player characters do? What's the central conflict of my setting or my story? And finally, who are the player characters? And then what's the central conflict? And then what do the player characters do? Those 3 things, if you can get those figured out on day 1, then you're already set for the rest of it. Do not do that on day 10. You will probably not get anything into us. And I would say you'll feel sad. And I don't want anyone feeling sad.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. You'll just feel sad, but hey, that's all there is to it. It's not like, hey, you've entered and you promised us a setting, you must complete it. It is very much, casual thing. If you don't finish, that's just it. You didn't finish, whether that was because you hit a roadblock or you just ran out of time or something came up. This is very much a fun thing. It's a little kind of creative. Again, confab. That's our special word of the event, with other creators, and kind of on that idea, Cam, of hey, we're gonna get people to think about things not just on the last couple of days, which I also do, and which I definitely did last time on the confab. Whoops. Is I've got prompts that I'm going to be throwing out every couple of days, so it's going to be very much, all right, if you haven't done this yet, today is the day that we're going to prompt you about this specific part of your game, talk about it, discuss with the other people here about what they came up with, and, work through some of the kinks of that particular thing. So we're going to have some prompts. We're going to have a confab conference, which is going to be an opportunity that is partway through the event to, give us a little pitch in a voice call. You can share a bit of your work, and that's going to be on, a week following the start, so the second Monday coming up here, and I'm going to be kind of moderating that, so you can come and join me and other creators, and you're going to have a space to say, here's what my idea is, here's maybe here's a problem that I'm having, let's talk through it. And it'll be just like, again, me and Cam sitting here with Aliza right now, where she shares her ideas and we kind of riff off of it, and then she takes what she likes and throws out the rest. And you can do that too, and it's gonna be pretty fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I think that the things that this community has already created, I know this is going to be great, and I think, seeing what people do with the theme, like how do they apply it in all these different ways, that's also going to be really exciting. I think there's some cool stuff to come out of this. Hey, Aliza, welcome back. We were telling everybody about our Cortex Creator Confab, which is an event where people can do what you're doing right now, create a setting in a very short amount of time. Do you have any advice you'd like to give the folks that are going to sign up to join that event? I think you are muted.
Am I not muted anymore now? Okay.
You're muted. You're fine now.
I'm fine. Okay. That button is tricky on my mic. Yeah, I think this may seem very obvious, but definitely pick something that excites you. Maybe be weird, like just go nuts. Why create a setting if it's not going to be something really unique to like your own things that interest you?
Yeah, absolutely. I would have never thought of this kind of setting. I wouldn't have even looked at a description of it and said, yeah, I want to play that. And then as you've been building it here and describing it, and also just sharing your excitement and like the extra research you've done on these exoplanets, all these things, like I'm enraptured by it, because when you make something you're passionate about, it really rubs off on everybody around you. And I'm very excited about this. So we've got a lot of things built out for this setting. Aliza, is there anything left that you're like, hey, I really want to figure out this thing, or hey, this is a roadblock I'm looking at, or I don't quite know how this thing goes? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think one more detail or feature I'd like to add for these planets is the option for the GM to create a planet. And so I think it would be awesome if we can figure out some traits of planets and say, pick things from these, not pick things from, but like in this category, do you want it to be terraneous or gaseous planet? Do you want it to be a planet?
You could even make this into rollable tables where, hey, I can just like randomly generate a planet with. So
yes,
so if we do that, we need they need to be 4, 6, 8, 10, or 12 things per list. They can be different amounts per list. What qualities, Aliza? Let's start with what qualities do you want to cover?
I think the terrain. So is it, or I guess maybe it's planet versus space phenomenon. That could be the first thing.
Yeah, like is it a planet, or well, even going into the whole question of what kind of celestial body is it? Right? Is it a planet? Yes. Is it a pulsar? Is it some kind of gas cloud? And then that actually might influence which other tables you roll on. You might not do any more rolling because you say it's a pulsar, it just does this thing. It's like whatever. But planets should get there.
That's true. Yeah. If it's a planet, then you have more. Yeah, you have more things to figure out.
So I'm going to throw in type of destination. We can call that first table. So that'll cover if it's going to be a planet or these other things. So we've got our type of destination. So let's say we decide that that's an exoplanet. What other things do we need to determine that might be some of these tables here?
So then if it's a planet or a body of some kind, is it something that you can walk on? To put it plainly. So is it a rocky body? Is it a gas planet? Or is it a water world?
Oh, okay, I see what
you're so you can have the structure. Is that a word we might use for that?
Yeah. What is the word? Possibly. There's definitely a word, right? Like types of. Let me look up types of planets. In Star Trek, we would call these the classes.
I think that's also what they call them. Yeah, M class. Yeah, those are actually real words.
Those
Boom.
are
classes.
Yeah.
Look, I
So
know
our
nothing
solar
about
system,
space.
terrestrial. Here we go. So our solar system contains, this just from astronomy.com, contains 3 types of planets: rocky, terrestrial, and gas giants, and ice giants. That's another one.
Oh yes, ice giants.
There's also lava worlds. There's ones made of full metal,
Did you
which I
say
have
lava
on my
worlds?
list of. I did. I did. There's tons of different types. So, but some of these
Yeah,
are
you can
subsets
really
of
fill
rocky, I think.
some of those things in. Right. But you can even still make those separate, because you could say, Rocky, that's going to give the GM a little bit more leeway with stuff, or maybe they roll higher on it and they get Lava World. They're like, all right, that tells me a lot about what this is. So,
So they can all still be on that same table.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Well, that way you can have a table that's mostly planets with a couple of other things like pulsars and nebulas on it. And you're more likely to roll a planet when you're making up this thing than you are to have equal chance of getting nebulas and black holes and stuff.
So you're saying, wait,
like
sorry.
if you list like 12 things, the type of destination, you could have ice giant, gas giant, rock planet, whatever, as most of the items in that list. And then the last 3 could be like pulsar, black hole, nebula. And then you just leave them to be.
So they happen a little less often, but they will show up on the list. Yeah.
I like that. That simplifies this process too. So instead of having it be what type of destination, you just roll on a whole table of different destinations and different types of destinations. Cool.
Okay. So we've got a destination now. What else do we need to know about our destination?
Well, gravity? I think the gravity is important.
Can we call it? So yes, gravity.
Drives.
Do you want to refer to it maybe as physics to give it can cover a bit of a wider range of.
Sorry, I made a mistake in the doc. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Physics. Another thing that's also imminent here, probably the next thing we talk about, is the atmosphere. So, but I think those are 2 separate things. But also, because the physics don't change from planet to planet. So I think we do want to be more specific and say gravity, which is like low, medium, which would be like Earth. Earth, and heavy, like a black hole. Heavy, or like a very large planet.
Okay, so if we have 4 gravity options, what is our 4th one? We've got a low, we kind of have a neutral, we have a high.
Crushing.
Zero?
Really crushing.
Crushing.
0, yeah.
Did you have 0 gravity or extreme gravity?
Yeah.
Yep. 0.
I like that.
Absolutely.
And you got classes.
That would be the interstellar medium.
Yeah.
Atmosphere is next. So atmosphere, breathable. Maybe we could just say like breathable is one. Toxic would be another one. Yeah. Which is like, why would you just vacation on a toxic planet? Why not? Exactly.
They're gonna try everything.
No atmosphere is one.
Breathable, toxic. None. Thin would be another one. Moon. Well, that's very thin. Yeah. Breathable, toxic, none, thin.
That's probably good, isn't it? That's 4.
Yep.
Because toxic also includes too thick. You'd be breathing in too much atmosphere. It's toxic.
Yeah.
I would say, something like Venus would be a toxic atmosphere. The thickness and also all the stuff in it.
Heck yeah. Classes, gravity, atmosphere. What else do we need to know about this place? It'd be like the flora and fauna. You could have something that, randomly generate off this list.
Yeah, nature. So, or life, like local life. And we can have it be like fungus, microscopic organisms, fauna. Yeah, exactly. Maybe it's like, because my thought is, if they have bacteria and nothing else, that's one level. If they have bacteria and fungus, that's the second level. If they have bacteria, fungus, and flowers, that's a third, and then fauna would be the last one. Yeah. Kind of following how life evolved on this planet.
Yeah, vegetation.
Yeah,
you know what would
be
cool
we can
is
even also put on here like extraterrestrial, because then it's like this is
Yeah.
beyond our usual, like, hey, flora, fauna, whatever. This is something that is a little outside of that. Maybe it's just a rock that can walk around.
It's its own, whatever this
6.
planet.
If you made it 6 and put none, there's no life. There's microbes, there's fungus, flora, fauna, and weird or some other kind of thing, or extreme.
Advanced or intelligent.
Xeno.
Oh, intelligent.
Oh, actually, yes, sapient. Sapient.
Yeah, my only thing about that is, I was saying before, I don't really want to have this be like a colonizing thing.
Yeah.
Where they're coming to someone's planet who's already like living there, and so
I think we're agreeing that there's not intelligent life on these other planets. It is, there's animals, maybe there's flowers and stuff, but if there were there was alien intelligence, they would also be a part of what we're doing. We wouldn't be going and taking over their planets.
It's more self-aware, isn't it? That's what we want, because that's self-awareness is different from intelligence and sentience.
Yeah, I think we covered that with fauna though as well.
Fauna,
you're probably right.
So I think we got 6. None, microscopic, fungus, flora, fauna, extraterrestrial, which is like weird. It's not a flora or a fauna, but it's not intelligent, but it's a rock that is
or energy
walking around, or it's energy.
Oh, energy. Yeah. So I think what you're describing, Mellie, is still fauna though, because a rock on another planet that moves is still an animal. But maybe energy. So we don't.
In Star Trek, there's always weird energy beings.
Yeah.
Like the
in Star Trek and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that.
We got the chat talking about dinosaurs now. Do we?
Dinos. That's one level. Well, the thing about energy beings is that in if this is the part of this setting that's stemming from the hard sci-fi, we don't have like energy beings in our science, that we know of.
Right.
Ghosts, maybe.
What's the word? Supernatural.
I think to keep it,
if you wanted to kind of go with something that it's not fully, fantasy or anything, but this is just on the outside edge of our understanding, that we're not quite sure how to describe it, but it is a scientific phenomenon that we just don't know how to describe it.
Yeah. I see what you're getting at. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to keep it so that if it's within kind of our scientific experience, you could put megafauna as the last one.
Say that again.
Megafauna. So that's like really, really big things.
Oh, I think Titans.
Is
that all one word?
Yeah, it's one word. Our world had those until we got rid of them, and humans came along. So it's the last step before actual intelligence.
Is that dinosaurs? What's megafauna? I've never heard that term.
Yeah, dinosaurs, all those big things that were like
giant squid.
Yeah, the Belucotherium.
Okay. I like that.
I mean, and what happens then, I think, generally is if you have an intelligent species like apes and things evolve out, those megafauna die off. Because they're the first thing to go when you get hunters and other stuff. So,
Gotcha.
If our cutoff point is sentient life, then we want to,
Yeah, that's cool.
Those could be giant
jellyfish. That could be like a dinosaur planet.
Yeah.
Wait, what did you say, Kim?
I'm all about Dino Planet.
Well,
so we've got classes,
you
black
can create
gravity,
anything
atmosphere,
that's
life.
giant.
We can also, I think, we want to say, a defining feature. So we can have a table of some options that are like, this is, that's the thing you're going to remember this planet for.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's the big attraction?
Right. So some thoughts I have are canyons, mountains, lakes, or oceans. Maybe those could be two separate ones even. Rivers,
Weather, just as like
forests, weather.
you're kind of implying that the weather
so like
must
raining
be kind
gems.
of a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be. We could even call it weird weather, or be more specific.
If you went down the list of the ones that you've made up, like all those different things, like spa time on the steamy water world, if you went around all those and found the one thing about those that stuck out as being its core attractive property, the reason why you'd want to go there and discover what you do there, that's what this list is, I think. This list is like, what's the thing about this world that's notable? Because they may all have mountains and water, but yeah, like raining gems, super notable.
Light. So the way that the light works could be something very defining about this place. Like, because it could be just always night, or it could be because of the atmosphere, the sun looks blue, or just something about the light
twilight
is weird
planet.
Here. Yeah.
Or it's always lit because it's by a binary star system, or it's between two stars, or it's like it just never has darkness or something like that. So maybe that's one. Yeah. So always lit by
what the Pitch Black, that movie with Vin Diesel, had that one weird thing where it was always light except for that, like when it wasn't, and it was terrible.
Yeah. So rogue planets are a real thing. Have you heard of rogue planets?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a rogue planet is a planet that would not be lit because it has escaped its solar system. It's escaped the gravity of its star somehow, and it's just floating out in space. So that could be, maybe we just say rogue planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like always dark, directionless. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then
so this is really cool, because then you've got these lists where, hey, if I'm a GM and we've got this kind of list of these specific suggestions, but maybe I just want to make something, but I don't know where to start. I can go and be like, oh yeah, roll a d12 for this, roll this, and then I'm like, okay, so this is a gas giant with high gravity, toxic atmosphere. There's some fungus, and it's got weird weather. So what does that mean? Let's explore this place. Let's do the discovery phase and uncover. You can even have this part of the discovery phase for some GMs, is you're going to discover these things in stages. We're going to find out all what's going on here.
You know what's really cool is you could have it so in the discovery phase, this list is unknown, and you let the players roll against, do tests, and they can choose the ones they want if they succeed from some categories, and the rest you just roll randomly. Like, this cool. Discover place. Like, what? Yeah, I want to discover the destination. Do you have one in mind? Yeah, I totally want to have a pulsar. Well, you better roll, because that's not that common. You roll and you succeed. Okay, it's a pulsar. Let's keep going. But if you fail, the GM rolls the dice and might get a pulsar anyway. You may be lucky, but probably not. You probably get some ice giant. And then you keep doing that, and if there's enough players to do it, that will be the discovery. If you all invested, I think that we don't want it to be too involved, but that's a good way to break down those dice in the discovery pool. Is having those traits be each different attempt. Once you can knock the dice out, you can choose them.
Yeah, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Traits here that we have. So maybe the dice pool for discovery, if it were, you could make it 5 die, and each one of these represents one of those. Cool.
Yeah. Which is a cool way for you to also add. I mean, this is a great free way to roll dice and get hitches. Because none of this is all that. I mean, it's not really that threatening, right? Discovery. What's going to happen is that you're going to generate like those hitches, and then that's going to make things worse later on, and then you'll have a good way to key off those.
You didn't realize that the atmosphere was toxic until like you kind of decided this was the place, and then you're like, oh no, we got to make our theme park work on this toxic planet. How do we do that? We got these hitches now we got to deal with. I like this too because so many games, you know, that have an exploration aspect to them, you know, how do you get the players involved with that where they feel like what I'm doing matters? And so I really like this idea of like, yeah, if you succeed, you can pick. You're deciding where you're going. You've predicted, you know, the things, you got it right. But hey, if you got it wrong, it is just going to be random. So there is like, hey, I'm going to actually really try to make my skills work here to get us to the right place and to, you know, set us up for success for what our plan is. And I think that's really exciting. I like it, A, for this, and I want to play it, but also I think this is a cool idea that, hey, if you're thinking about other ways to do exploration in Cortex, this is really cool. Aliza's just made this base of like, oh yeah, I could make a fantasy exploration game using this same structure. Like, it's really, really cool. AKA, Aliza's a genius, and I love her.
It's true. Mellie, I'm cognizant of our time on our show today. Is there anything that we need to do that would be helpful for Aliza to take away and sort of help wrap things up? Because I think there's a lot of content here, really cool. And obviously, Aliza, we're not going to let you do this all by yourself in the future. We'll give you some help with this. But is there something that you think is worth discussing for the next, say, 10 minutes that we can talk over and figure out?
Well, I think, Aliza, hey, let's use this last 10 minutes. Let's get something really nice and clippable. You know, give us the rundown of this game, like you're pitching it to somebody. You got a couple minutes to convince somebody that they should really be interested in this game. And, you know, then from there, as we move on, you know, and if we don't have you back here next week to talk more about this amazing game, unfortunately, we do, you know, we'll provide you all the resources you need outside of this to figure out all of the little intricacies and put it all together, and we can play test it and have a great time. But if you were saying to somebody who hadn't watched these 2 episodes, had no idea what they were getting into, you got a couple minutes to convince them. What is your game about, Aliza?
Well, I'm creating a sci-fi space adventure. No, wait, I'm going to start over. Okay.
Rewind, safety tools.
I'm creating, rewind. I'm creating a sci-fi space tourism adventuring setting where the players are entrepreneurial types who venture out into space and find strange phenomena and exoplanets, and they set up tourist attractions. So it can be amusement park rides, it can be special hikes on giant mountains that reach up into the stratosphere. It can be zip lining across the smallest planet, so you just zip line all the way around. Just like the kind of mashing up the idea of tourism and exploration and adventuring with space and the weirdness of space. I think that's
I love it. Why should somebody play this game?
If you love space, or at least are curious about space, there's a lot of this that's built on hard, actual science. And so you can take this as an opportunity to learn about some weird exoplanets that are out in the world, or just completely make up your own and just have fun imagining what could be out there.
I absolutely love it. And as somebody who knows nothing about space, I'm very excited to learn about it through this amazing game. Thank you so much, Aliza, for coming on the show these past 2 weeks and creating something so amazing, showing people how it's done. I can't wait to see where this goes, because I think that
Yay.
It just has all the potential in the world. Aliza, where can people find you?
Yay! I am at Aliza Pearl on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, and Cam Banks, of course, thank you so much for being the guide, the guru, the person that just knows all of the Cortex secrets and has all of the game design ideas. Where can people find you on the internet, sir?
They can find me at BoyMonster on the Twitter and Rusty Sellsword on the Instagram. And of course, every day, if you mention my name, I will be summoned on the Discord. Most days, not every day. I want to be very careful of what I say, but I'm on the Discord for Cortex.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. I'm Mellie Doucette. I'm the community manager for Cortex RPG, and you can find me on Twitter at MellieDM and also on the Discord most of the time. Again, we're keeping an eye on our burnout. We don't want to get above a D12. Thank you all for joining us. Next week here on Roll and Keep, we are going to do another Cortex clinic. We are bringing on the amazing Jasmine Buhler. She's going to be building her own original Cortex setting as well. So we're going to have another just amazing creator on to share her ideas with us. Super excited about that. So tune in for that next week and join us on the Discord where you can do the Cortex Confab, create your own setting, and just in general find people to play with, find people to create with, and join the community. We would love to have you. You are most welcome to come and be a part of the Cortex family. Thank you all so much for watching, for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.